And APB, American Protection Bureau, voted #1 best on Long Island for all your security needs. Call 631-390-9050. That's 631-390-9050. APB.
Yeah.
All good. All good. All right. So let's switch gears if we can. Obviously, you're known for many great things in your contributions to pro wrestling history. But to me and Mike especially, back in the magazine days and of course in WWE, watching wrestling and staying in touch with what was going on. I feel like, one of the most iconic things you ever did was the High Flyers with Jim Brunzell. Where would you rank the High Flyers today, like as far as all-time teams, and what's your relationship like with Jim Brunzell to this time, and do you still talk to him? You guys good? And where do you rank the High Flyers?
Yeah, he's got an event coming up for a friend of ours. Jim Carter played football at Minnesota, fullback, and then played middle linebacker at Green Bay and plays Ray Nitschke. He passed away, and Jim's put together this big thing on June 10th, kind of a salute to Jim and what he did for football and for all of us. He was a good guy. But no, Jim's a great guy. And we went to college together, and I talked him into coming into wrestling, and he adapted to it pretty quick. He was a state high jump. He'd set a record in Minnesota. You'd throw the best drop kick in professional wrestling. And where would we stand today? You tell me.
Oh, that's not fair, Mike. He just turned the tables. What are we so?
Well, I'll be fair here. My favorite team to this day, and people give me shit over it, right, is the East-West connection, Ventura and Adonis. And the High Flyers were one of their main feuds all the time. So the High Flyers always remain very high on my list. Jim's been on the show quite a few times, and he's a really great guy. And but yeah, the High Flyers. Listen, if you remember the name of a tag team at this point in your life, they've made a difference. So yeah, the High Flyers. I mean, God, we've done everything but lick Greg's feet at this point. So I don't even know how to say anything greater about the guy. The guy's awesome.
Greg, how do you think you guys would have done in today's style? There's a lot of High Flyers today. How do you think you guys would have done if you could be in today's landscape?
Well, if we could turn back with younger bodies,
sure.
We'd adapt to that pretty quick because we were both athletic and we could do all that stuff. And I go back when you talk about Jesse and Adrian. They were a great team. Jesse could talk people into the building. Adrian was a good talker. Adrian was a phenomenal performer in the ring.
Yes.
Jesse, you had to work hard with Jesse. I remember a match we had in Denver, Colorado, and it was called a cold match. It was a tag team championship match with Ray Stevens and Pat Patterson, Bobby Heenan, the manager. Pat had been gone for a while and came back, and we were really hot in Denver. So they put us in a championship match with them in the main event, sold out place. And working with those two was in 8 minutes, we wrestled. They had a top wrist lock on us, and they would either pull us by the tights or by the hair. The referee would either be distracted by Pat or Ray or Bobby Heenan. And we finally made a tag. They would get the same hold on the other one. In 8 minutes, there was never a punch or a kick thrown. We had a full-fledged riot.
Wow.
People came to help us on a top wrist lock. To me, that's when you know you have accomplished the art of professional wrestling.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
As what they called a babyface team, I've had many of the veterans, the Pat Pattersons, Ray Stevens, Bachwinkles, so on and so forth, Jerry Blackwell, guys that we worked with, say we were the best babyface team they'd ever been in the ring with. And I'm not saying that to brag about it, but you asked me, And I went from our peers and the people that told us. I was in St. Louis last week with Barb Goodish, Brody's.
Yes.
She pulled me aside and gave me a little story. She said, you know, when they were promoting here in St. Louis, a couple of the promoters there, they asked Brody, you know, why do you work with Vern's kid? And he said, because he fights back. He has so much fire in the ring. But the size difference, he said, I don't give a shit about the size. He said, we wrestled him in Japan, Brunzell with Stan Anson and I, and tore the place apart. But they both had fire and they both fought back. And they knew how to sell and die, and not die, but get those people emotionally involved in you. And, you know, we wrestled them 35, 40 minutes a couple of nights. And Brody, she said he told the promoters there that he would rather work with me than anybody they had on the card. And that to me was, she told me that just a couple of weeks ago. And that meant a lot.
And that's mastering the art of professional wrestling.